Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. Before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering for some individuals. If you choose to continue, do so knowing this content is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised. What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good Friday night. Sorry, I think I just saw a UFO on my security cameras outside. It's like something just... Oh, I guess it's a helo. Okay, never mind. I just saw a big light. Caught my eye. Speaking of, I watched the astronauts come back to Earth. A really cool thing to see. If you missed it, you missed out. Really cool thing. But they all made it back safe. And was picked up out of the water by the great U.S. Navy, the world's greatest Navy. Hey, Gloria. I'm not an hour late. It's 9 o'clock on Friday nights. It's 8 on Mondays and Wednesdays and 9 on Fridays. Hey, Annie, how are you? Hey, Alicia. Yes, you're catching it live, thankfully. Hey. Only cool people know where this comes from. You mean only older people. Great movie, though. One of the best. Hey, Carolyn. How is North Carolina tonight? Can I rewatch the live with the guy from the ramp? Yes, it is posted on the FB and YT and Spotify and Apple Podcast. And I went through and added pictures with names and stuff. And if you've watched it before today, there was some kind of mess up at the end of when I was editing it and posting it. And somehow some of the, what we call bars on the editing software got off center somehow. And so some things ran together. I didn't realize it till today, but it's now been fixed. Hey, Doris. The great city of Muscle Shoals. I do have a big story in Muscle Shoals that we're going to be covering very soon that I've gotten a lot of info on, and we're getting together and getting it all figured out. Very interesting. I think it's going to call some people out. Not the people I like. Because your police department up there is the best, one of the best in the state by far. Awesome people there. Very lucky. Topic tonight is mostly we're going to be talking about the ramp, which is the cult in Hamilton, Alabama. We'll also probably hit on a few other things, but that it will be the main topic again. And if you have not watched the podcast with Rod, who was a former staff member at the ramp, you're missing out. And make sure you go catch that. And again, that's on the FB. Well, no, it's on. I'm sorry, I told you wrong a while ago. I think I said it's on the FB. The link is on the FB, but it's on the YT and Spotify and Apple Podcast. So make sure y'all go check that out. It is very, very telling. It's very informative and a lot of inside information from someone that was on the inside. Very heartbreaking at times as well. Some very, very tough truths. Just unbelievable. And then Wednesday, I spent the day up there in Hamilton, and it's a really awesome small city. It really is. It's beautiful. Well, the whole area is beautiful, but it's a really nice town, and it's very unfortunate that it's been taken over by a cult. This is things that movies are made out of, literally, in not good ways. But it has been taken over by a cult. And there are a lot of abandoned business buildings and properties there, and every single one of them are owned by Karen Wheaton and the ramp. And when they were purchased, they were purchased on all kinds of promises that none have came true. I ain't gonna say none, but most have not. The skating rink, which is literally right next door to their main campus, was purchased in 2008. Is that correct? Pretty close anyway. And it was promised to be something, and it's still sitting there, an eyesore. And during that time, she has brought in multi-millions. Multi-millions. And as Monica just stated, most of the people in that town, and I didn't realize this, most of the people in that town is not happy. They are not fans of the ramp or Karen Wheaton. On the outside looking in, listening to the ramp people, I thought this was like something that the entire town was in on. That's the way they make it sound, that they're loved, and no. That's not the case. In fact, by most, they're not happy. And quite a few call it a cult too. They recognize, and they're there. They're seeing it. Yeah, you're exactly right, Miss Holly. They want their town back, and they deserve it. And so Wednesday night, we spoke about, here, let me pull it up because I think we still got it. We spoke about this, and this was put out by the Hamilton Area Chamber of Commerce, and this is a yearly event that they do, one of their main events, it is their main event. They do once a year, and it was scheduled to be, if you look here under April the 23rd, towards the bottom, at the ramp. Well, when they put this out early last week, it's caused an uproar. A lot of people were not happy, understandably. Tons of people sent this to me, expressing their frustrations. So we hit on this really hard Wednesday night, because here was their response to the uproar. And if you were on Wednesday night, I went through and I analyzed this entire statement, and it was not good. And I'm not going to reread the whole thing, but I'll point out a few things. We take the feedback of our community seriously and believe it is important to provide clarity regarding this decision. And in the very next sentence, first, it's important to note that the Chamber of Commerce is a private, nonprofit organization, not a department of the city of Hamilton. So what they were saying is, we take the feedback of our community seriously, and then the very next sentence saying we can do what the hell we want to because we're a private, nonprofit organization. This was like a spit in the face to the community, and if you ask my opinion, and then had all these excuses about why they couldn't change the location. And they got a lot of hate. And I made fun of them. It was deserved. And I stated, whoever their PR person needed to be fired, and whoever approved that statement does not know what they're doing, because that was a horrible statement to put out. Well, yesterday or today, one or the other, here, we're going to pull this up and show you what's come out now. And it's really good news. Yeah, yesterday at 6 p.m., thank you for the overwhelming support of those in the community who have volunteered and worked together to make the move back to downtown possible for our 4th annual dinner on 1st. So within 24 hours, turns out they were able to move it. And I'm going to tell you why that happened. Because that community spoke up. And as I called for Wednesday, and please don't mistake that I'm taking credit for this. A lot of people were speaking out about this. I like to think we had something to do with it. I'm sure we did. But I called Wednesday night. I called for every business that was supposed to be going, that had committed to going, to pull out. And because no excuse in the world could they have had and it passed for them to still have that at the ramp at this point? And that's what happened. So the real cause of this is the businesses. And the Chamber of Commerce went from, we're in charge, we'll do whatever the hell that we want to, such as what was in that statement, to turns out we're not in charge because we need people's money. And so that's what happens when good people stand up, and all the businesses that did stand up and say, no, we're not doing this. That's who to thank. But that community is who to thank for this getting fixed. And I'm very, very glad that it got fixed. Because, again, their excuses in their statement, half of them didn't make sense anyway, but there is not a good excuse anyway. We're talking about children being harmed in the worst ways possible in this specific in this building, and you're telling me that you had no plan B whatsoever, and it was going to cost you all this money to move it? Well, what was going to cost you a lot more money was all the businesses backing out and all the people that were supposed to be coming not going to come. And so you showed the Chamber of Commerce that they're not in charge. A nonprofit literally can't operate without donations. And that's the power of money. And sometimes it's good. But I'm very glad that got fixed. And I'm very proud of the community of Hamilton. And again, it's an awesome town and a lot of just good people. That's obvious. And they don't deserve what's happening right now. They don't deserve to have a cult literally take over their entire town, their entire community. They don't deserve that. And this was also the first big punch to Karen Wheaton of her realizing, we may really be having a problem here, which I think she has already realized that, and that's why she's trying to liquidate things. Let's play she has she's put out a little video from her front porch friends, and it's team, y'all remind me before this live's over to play this, talk about this Washington County, Tennessee school board member, by the way. That is, we'll talk about that a little bit too. Apparently some of my controls are not working, of course. Oh, and I forgot, I never showed y'all the fight with the DoorDash drivers at my house that night. And I've got that. So y'all don't let me forget to show y'all that either. I keep on forgetting. Okay, hold on. Where did this video go? I just had it earlier. Oh, here it is. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I was mistaken. I thought that was a brand new video. It is not. So let's see if she has done a new one.
Hang on, stay with me. Try to find it. Oh, I need more hands. Watch.
Here, we'll watch. This one was yesterday. I watched it a little bit. We're not going to watch the whole thing because honestly, her voice gets on my nerves. It's not her voice; it's her fakeness, and I'm not. I don't want to offend anyone that did follow her and fell for her stuff because I get it and I understand it, but I don't. The more I watch her, I don't see how you didn't see how fake she is, and just everything's. She's so theatrical. It's crazy. So theatrical.
Hello, my front porch friend. I'm glad you're joining me on the front porch today, along with a very dirty
It is a cute dog.
friend
I'll give her
that's
that.
just real happy to be here. He's already had his morning swim in the creek, and he's just coming in to say, hey, quick, hello, if any of you ever just want to come wash a dog, just feel free. Okay, look, I've got our little swing all ready for us. I want you to sit down with me. You know I've got something to say when I have three different versions of the Bible I've been in. Actually, I've been in more versions than this. That was just the only three I could bring over. But, oh, I've been just pondering so many things today. For one thing, let me say before we even get started, I hope you're coming to the conference this weekend, Women's Ramp, this Friday night and Saturday, April 10th and 11th. If you haven't registered, You've still got time.
So that's going on right now.
You could drive, fly, whatever.
Probably
you
where
do,
most
get
of
a
my
friend,
audience
but join
is.
me. I told you the other day because it's true. It's
That was a
really
joke,
call
obviously.
for intercessors. I'm asking intercessors to come, to pray with us, to worship with us, and just stand in the presence of God together and listen to what he has to say and receive what I know he wants to give. So if you haven't registered yet, I'd love to see you there. Okay, now, look, one more thing. This is really cool. So I walked up to this swing this morning, and I was thinking, like, where do I want to talk to my friend? And so I thought about this swing, which of course, is my grandmother's old swing. It looks like the birds have been here before us. Let's not look at that. But look here, when I walked up this morning.
I'm going to start talking like that in my videos.
Waiting on me.
Hello, friend. Hope you have a great Friday night. It's just you and me right here talking. And we're having a really good discussion, very personable. Does that seem real? I hope not. Feels very weird talking like that, knowing I'm talking to multiple people.
They were just laying here. Look at that. 2 white feathers. I don't know who put them here. I don't know how they got here, but they were here waiting on me this morning.
I smell a little Nick Smith in this little story here. For those of you that don't get that, he'll BS the best of them. He'll straight up just tell a lie. Some of the stories he tells, like, there's no way it's true. Maybe these 2 feathers just happen to be sitting on her front porch on her little thing here. Possible. Probably not. Again, everything, in fact, I know it's not, because every single thing I've seen her do so far is theatrics. Every single thing.
When I walked up to this swing, one for you and one for me. And what they represent? What do they represent?
Just happen to be 2 of them.
One
for you.
Let me separate them. Hang on.
Hold on,
They're telling us.
One for you.
Remember, as easy as a feather, and every wall comes crashing down. And so, for you and for me both that are believing for impossible
Her
things,
walls are crashing down, all
this
right.
was our little sign to you and me. Remember, God is telling us, remember, this is easy for me. That wall that just seems like it's impossible, it just looks thick and big and foreboding. Remember, as easy as a feather for God. And every wall comes crashing down. So that's your word to start with. Just a sweet little kiss from God. The wind is blowing like crazy. As soon as I sat down to do my word with you today, my chain broke on my glasses. So here we go. Just going to have to do it as I can. Watch. This scripture today I've been in all this morning. I have read it, and I don't even know how many versions of the Bible, translations of the Bible. And every one of them is so good. I want you to go look it up for yourself today and just go soak in it like I have been. Yeah. It's found in Romans 4.
I can't handle much of her at one time. Now, I've studied communication now for well over 10 years. About every book out there on communication I've read. The amount of conferences I've gone to, I couldn't even count them. I've learned from some of the best speakers and communicators in the world. And a lot of the things she does is what you're supposed to do. However, if you're doing it where people recognize that it's fake, you're doing the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing, because it needs to be natural. Here's the trick to communication and leadership and true public speaking. Here's the trick. You have to truly care about people. You have to truly care about the people you're talking to. well, I'm not supposed to say that, about the people you're speaking with. Truly, that's something you can't fake. This is a prime example. That's the part she's not nailing because you can't fake it. And most people can pick up on that BS. And again, that's the part you can't fake. You will never be a great leader if you don't truly care about your people. It's impossible because they're going to pick up on you being fake, no matter if you do everything right. And she does. I mean, I could sit here, I could teach an entire communication class on one of her videos and show you exactly everything you're supposed to do, the things you're supposed to say. But it doesn't come off as natural from her because it's not at all. Because she's in this for one reason. She's in it for her and her money. And it's very easy to tell. And I see all these communication experts on social media and YouTube and they're going to teach you how to communicate. And this is one of the tricks that it's not really a trick, but this is one of the things that they're I've seen it so many times. Is this pretend you're talking to one person. You want to make your audience feel like it's just you and them. And that is true. That part is true. That is what you want to do. But you're not literally supposed to point it out like this because it comes out as weird. And that's why I make fun of her with this. It's you and me, my friend. Hello, my friend. It comes out as weird because you're like, who is she talking to? There's more than one person watching her video. Like, it comes out as strange and weird and fake because it is. She would make a great soap opera actress. And I've never been able to sit through one of those and watch an entire episode of a soap opera because they're so fake. Like, it's just so weird to me. And it's the exact same vibe I get from her. However, those things have made they have been very successful. There's a large percentage of the population that loves that kind of entertainment. And this is proof here. Not for me, but I understand a lot of people do. But it's too fake for me. It's strange. It's weird. Same vibe I get from her. But yeah, if she was teaching communication and public speaking, she would probably make a lot of money at it, and she would be good at it truly. Because she understands it as far as she knows how to teach it because she does all these things, but she can't carry it out herself because she is not real. Let me catch up on some comments. She always has something to say, but is it from the Lord for real? I mean, that's between her and him. So, I mean, I can't answer that. But some of the best communicators in the world are preachers and pastors of big churches. And most of them that I know, they're not fake. They're real. And they're, again, some of the best communicators you'll ever see. she's completely fake. So if I had to bet, does her word truly come from him? I would say no, but again, that's between her and him. And that's a question she's going to have to answer to one day. It's tonight the first night of their women's conference. Yes. And I've had so much going on this week, I didn't think about it. But if anyone lives in that area and you happen to go by and snap some pictures of the parking lot, I would love to have those because I'm curious about what kind of crowd that she has. And of course, if you did that and you sent those to me, that would stay completely between you and I. Hard to stomach this. No, it really is, Melissa. And I have sit through in the last week. I have sit through a ton of her videos, a ton, and that's why I can't hardly handle any more right now. She actually sounds fake. I wouldn't believe it. No, and she does. It is. I mean, it's theatrics, and I'll show you the best proof of that. It was a golden egg that I found at the very end of one of her long videos the other night that I was watching. I was up late watching some of her sermons, I guess you would call them. And I was literally about to turn it off because it was almost over. And I started picking up of what is she about to do? And I'm so glad I stayed. And it is if you have watched my interview with Rod, the edited one that I put out, it's that first clip, and it's solid gold. Well, and I figured that, Melissa, her women's ramp is packed tonight. That's why we're talking about it. We have a lot more work to do, a lot. But again, the Chamber of Commerce, that was our first win. Small win, but it was our first, and that shows us that what we are doing is making a difference. And again, that community up there need this. They need us. And when I say us, I'm not talking about just me. I'm talking about all the people that speaking out on social media. And we need more speaking out against her because we've got to bring more attention to this. What's up, Monica? Oh, you're not too late. I'll give you a pass. Not as packed as usual. I just came in from Tuscaloosa about 7:45. Have to pass the ramp. Noticed that there were only 6 half rows of cars in the big parking lot. The ramp parking lot was full. And the parking lot next to the Pizza Hut was maybe half full. She should have thrown in the Southern Y'all video. Natalie, that's the only thing that's worse to me is the people that are fake on social media that really, really fake that strong, strong Southern accent. And those of us that truly grew up in the deep South, we can tell the difference when that's fake or not. And it gets very annoying, very annoying. Okay, I saw y'all talk about Holly. I thought y'all were talking about Miss Holly. I was like, what? But this is a different Holly. Hey, please don't be rude to my team. There's no need in that. Okay, I'm y'all can handle that team. But yeah, don't be rude to my team. I wish I had a drone. I'd overfly the site to get an accurate look of attendance. I did just get an awesome drone in this last week. It's got a really awesome camera. Y'all will see it at some point. The next time I go back out on the range, because I'm about to start making some range videos for my paid subscription side, and it's going to get a lot of use. It's really cool, though. Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Ah, I didn't even notice that, Kat. Kat said, I found it interesting that comments to any videos have been turned off. And sure enough, that's costing her some money. Huh. You know, every single day, every time we talk about her, we see more and more similarities, between her and a lot of other people that we've talked about in corruption. As I've said, they're all the same. that is a very Nick Smith thing to do, for sure. It's exactly what he did, actually. And I don't understand turning off the I don't read the comment. If you comment on my videos, on my podcast, I don't read the comments. And that's not because I don't care what the comments are. It's not good for my mental health. And that was a lesson taught to me by some very, very smart people that have been doing this stuff for a long time and are very successful in this. They had to learn we can't read the comments because it's not good for your mental health. Seriously, because people say they make up some of the craziest things about you and say some of the craziest things about you. And if you spend all day looking at those, it'll drive you mad. And I mean, I even got ill with my team the other day because they were sending me some comments that people had made on some of the Brittany Stapleton stuff. And I was like, look, let's not send any more. I don't want to see any more comments. Especially the absolutely ridiculous ones. Because even though they're absolutely ridiculous, it's still, again, it starts wearing on you. So it makes, look, I said all that, and this may not make sense, but I said all that to say this. I'm never going to turn my comments off because I know that the smart people in my audience will know when something's just complete BS. She turns her comments off because the things people are saying are true, and she doesn't want other people that are not aware of what's going on seeing it. Same thing with Nick Smith. If they were completely innocent, they wouldn't turn their comments off. They just wouldn't look at them. Yeah, the comments also drive your engagement. Who cares what they say? No, exactly. I mean, comments are really big on the monetizing side. It makes a big difference. That's why I said she's losing quite a bit of money by turning her comments off. That's how important it is that everybody don't see what's going on with her. But she can't hide forever. I think I said this before, but there's some other creators and podcasters that are way bigger than me that are going to be picking up this story very soon. I've talked to them. I've turned over everything I have to them, and they're putting it together. So she's about to be way more famous than she was. So she can turn off her comments all she wants, but it's going to be very hard very soon for anyone on the internet that follows her to not see those things, because she's going to be trending, and not in a good way. She's going to be trending like Brittany Stapleton is right now, and not in a good way. I think I sound like somebody from Mayberry. What's wrong with that? Hey, Andy Griffith's my favorite show of all time. I can quote every episode. I love that show. And it's something that my grandpa and I used to watch together, and when I was little. And so it's got this nostalgia about it as well. But if I'm having a rough day, because I rarely sit and watch TV. It's just not something I do. If I'm having a rough day, I will sit down and turn on Andy Griffith. My Siri can't even understand my hillbilly accent. We ain't going to be rude about our fellow Agent Baker minions. Tell them about what's coming on the podcast Monday. Well, I'm going to do that. Even the ramp on FB's comments are turned off. Yeah, it figures. The lava lamp's not on. Oh, it sure is not. Good call, Debbie. No live feeds from the ramp, church, or any other events. Really? She must not be wanting to spread the word of God too much then. Yeah, so on a different note, right quick, interviewed a podcast guest today, and it was amazing. It was awesome. Very informative. And the full episode will be coming out Monday evening. And you don't want to miss it. It's awesome. Very, very informative from someone on the front lines of human trafficking. And he's not going to be the last. That's again kind of on the same subject. But I'm going to be having more guests very soon, coming from the front lines of all sides of that, because there's, for one, there's a lot of misinformation out there about it, but for two, there's not enough information out there about it. Not even close. And a lot more awareness needs to be brought to it. Are y'all, team, what Discord channel are y'all on? Because I've got it pulled up and I'm seeing alerts, but are y'all not on general? There's mine just not updating or something. Okay, I found it. Y'all switched up on me here. All right, so the guest was Daniel Lynn, and he is the I don't want to get his title wrong. Hold on. He's the director of operations for Camille Place. And if you're not familiar with what Camille Place is, and I'm sure a lot of you are not, it is awesome. I didn't even know about it until about 3 days ago. But it's a really awesome thing, and they need our help. And I know that my audience is going to want to help them as much as possible because their calls and the things that they do, no one else does, and it is much needed. And I'm not going to just go through all of it because it'll be on the podcast Monday, and it's better to hear it all from him. He can put it out better than I can. But a quick breakdown of Camille Place is a nonprofit based out of Alabama, and they take in survivors of human trafficking. And from 6-year-olds to 16-year-olds, or no, to 19-year-olds, from 6-year-olds to 19-year-olds of females. And when I say they take them in, they take them in. They take them in, and they do everything for them. And they have awesome facilities that people have donated, and state of the art. And I got to see some pictures of one of the main facilities, and it's unbelievably nice. So these survivors get to immediately move into this mansion. They're very well taken care of. Medical care, very nice place to stay, full kitchens, all this, and it's nice. They have therapists on board all the time. I mean, they get them the help that they need. And they can take anybody in 24 hours a day. So, for instance, if law enforcement goes out and makes a bust on some human trafficking and there's 3 victims, they can immediately take them in that night and change their life. It's an amazing place. Their website tells a lot about what they do as well. And all of that will be in the show notes and comments, links and stuff in the comments when the podcast is released Monday. But make sure you check that out. And they now have what they call Samuel's Place. And it is the exact same thing except for boys. And again, it's like a cabin, just amazing cabin, and they take them in, and they just change their lives. And he and I had some really, really good discussions. And again, very informative. And so he talks to all of these victims. And it made me feel very good to know that when I asked him the question, what advice do you have for parents to protect their children from ending up in these situations? And it was some of the exact same stuff that I've been telling you all. And you'll hear it. But you're going to think that I got together with him before the podcast and told him to say this exact stuff. I mean, obviously I didn't. But it made me feel good to know that I am telling the right advice. But he said, electronics, no go. These games like Roblox, absolutely not. And again, his biggest piece of advice was show your children love, true love, and let them know and make sure they understand they can be completely open with you no matter what. And no matter what mistake they make, that you're going to love them and you're going to be there for them and they can come to you. So again, pretty much the same stuff that I've been saying, but he does say some other stuff too that's very, very helpful and informative. And then again, he goes into detail about exactly everything that the Camille place and Samuel's place does. So again, there's no need in me going through all of that, but you don't want to miss this. It's a little over an hour. It is very informative. It's not boring at all. It's just great. And he's a great man as well. You can tell he was called to do this. He owned a big construction company in Georgia, and he had gone down to help them build one of the big buildings, and they were donating their time and their equipment and manpower and supplies and everything to build this big building. And he just was called to, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing down here, helping them with this. And he left his company and everything and has dedicated his life to this cause, and it's amazing. And he talks about how many survivors that they have had and all that stuff. And as far as like the exact location of these places is classified, as far as lack of better terms. And that's for safety reasons, obviously. But very cool. Very cool. And he talks about exactly what they need and as far as volunteers and financials, the different supplies that they need, all that stuff. And again, there's a direct link where you can go if you have any of those services to offer. And I'm telling you, if you do have any of those to offer, you will want to after watching it, because it's one of the best causes I've ever seen. And like he and I said, everybody just sees the front part, and law enforcement handles the front part of human trafficking, meaning they kick in the door, they make the bus, and they go in and make their arrest. But that's where law enforcement's job stops. And I've been on these operations before. And to know when you're leaving that most of these victims, they have nowhere else to go. And most of them are going to go right back into this because they don't know any better. They don't know anything else. They don't know anything else. And it's very unfortunate. And so to know now that there's there's a place like this that, hey, we have a place for you, and it's great. But that's what stops. This is what's going to stop that nonstop revolving door. And instead of just putting the traffickers in prison for 10 years and then them getting out doing the same thing, and again the victims turning right around and just finding someone else that they have to do it for because it's all they know. This is changing a lot of lives. One thing that stuck out to me is he said 92% of every survivor that they've had were all initially trafficked by a family member. 92%. And that's what I've said numerous times. This is not a white van riding with no windows riding through the shopping center parking lot, snatching up kids from innocent people. That doesn't happen. No matter how many fake stories you see on social media, it does not happen, people. Are there very rare instances of that happening? Yes. Very, very rare. And that stat right there tells you how rare it is. But what that means is that 92% that was forced into this by most by their mother. Why did that happen? Because their mother was in it. Their grandmother forced their mother into it, and then they forced their child into it. And it's that revolving door. Now they are able to pull these people in and completely change that generational curse. And you cannot beat that. You can't beat that. And they have a lot more big plans. But anyway, I was blown away about what they do, and him specifically, awesome guy, and again, very informational. And hearing these things from someone literally on the front lines, working with these survivors every single day, hearing the stories of how it happened. I mean, it shows you exactly what we've been saying, that we just got to do better. There has to be more awareness brought to this. And he even has some stories specifically about, he wouldn't say, and I understand that, but I'm sure he was talking about Roblox. He would just say gaming platforms, but of some that they've had that's where it started for them. That they were groomed online and then into that. So again, a lot more awareness needs to be brought, but the electronics, and let's play that video right quick, and then I'll catch up on some comments. And some of you may have watched this from my page earlier, but for those that hadn't.
And if they give their children a phone and that child is under the age of 16, 17 years old, go and lock your doors. Stop paying for your security system at your home. Leave your car doors unlocked. Leave the windows down and keys in ignition. You have given away the security of your family, so you don't need door locks anymore. Get rid of it all. Save the money, because if you give them a phone that has no security detail, no security measures, no checks and balances, and they're just free reign on a phone, all your security's gone. So they can start there in understanding how real that is and how real our world has become to access. We've given them access to the most pride-filled, the most joy we can ever experience in life is being a parent or a grandparent, and exposing them to the world is the worst thing we can do. And then we're concerned about security of our homes and cars, but we'll give the security of our children away so freely. And if they give their children a phone and that child is under the age of 16.
Yeah, it's a little very short clip. And again, it's well over an hour of that. Very powerful. And it's going to be one of those that every parent needed to let them watch it. They need to understand what is happening and how prevalent it is. One more thing about it that he said, and I hate to give this away. I don't want to steal his story here. There were some very emotional parts of the interview, for sure. And one of the most that got me, it almost got me. Just he talked about a 4-year-old that they threw a birthday party for. And the 4-year-old didn't even know what a birthday party was. Had no idea. They didn't understand it. And they gave them a gift, a present wrapped, and they thought that was the gift. They didn't even realize there was more inside of it, and they were so happy about that because they'd never received anything like that before, ever. It's a horrible world for some people, and it's up to people like us to help spread awareness, to make sure that we have fewer and fewer people dealing with that stuff. But again, very powerful. And those handprints you saw they have on the wall are all handprints of all the survivors everyone that comes through there, they put their handprints on that tree. I thought that was really cool too. He said the youngest great-grandmother, listen to this, the youngest great-grandmother that they have, 39 years old. 39 years old and a great-grandmother. And the entire line all immediately forced in the same thing. But again, now they're finally changing that generational curse for that entire family line. So again, just amazing things. But a very, very powerful interview. Awesome. And he's going to be back on. Probably quite a bit. We're going to do some more work together, and I'm excited about that. And like I told him, I'm going to do everything I possibly can for them. Because it's an amazing cause and just something that they need more done. Samuel's Place is open now. They are receiving boys now, Katie, actually. But and we talked about some of the people in our criminal justice system, and some of the district attorneys that he's met with, and some judges that just don't understand it. They're just ignorant. And I've talked about this, and we've talked about some of these district attorneys and judges. He said one district attorney told him, "Yeah, it's bad. These girls keep putting themselves in this." And he was like, what? And when he told me that, I said, that does not surprise me at all. The amount of ignorance that surrounds this subject, people just don't understand. And if you're a male, if you're a man, and you get on some of these, what I call dark websites, but I don't know if Backpage is still as big as it was when I was doing this kind of work. That was one of the bigger ones. You get on those sites and you go to these hotel rooms and you pay for this stuff. You're the problem. And you want to see my blood boil when law enforcement carries out these operations and the comments and people say, "Oh, what's the big deal? So they were with the prostitute." No. Most of these girls are not there willingly. And if you're a man and you participate in that, you have major issues anyway, but you need to understand you are the problem. Because without thank you, Katie. Without a demand, there wouldn't be a supply. And you're the ones giving the demand. And if you're doing that, I want nothing to do with you. And I have zero respect for you. You're just as bad as Josh Stapleton. You need to understand that. And I stand by that. That's one thing that gets my blood boiling. And even some law enforcement, and it's changed a lot now, thankfully. But early in my days in investigations, and we would be dealing with these types of things, and the amount of law enforcement officers that didn't comprehend it and understand it at all, and treating these girls like they're criminals. I've been in some heated conversations before. for sure. It's just ignorance. But if you know anyone that participates in that, you need to tell them what they're doing. You need to tell them how freaking horrible of a human they are, and they need to make some major changes immediately, because it's not some innocent crime. It's a very, very serious crime. And when you see the human trafficking task forces do these operations, because that's who conducts these operations, and before you make that ignorant comment, you need to understand what you're talking about. And there was one time they did win, and I was going to do a whole show on calling the comments out, and specifically calling these idiots out, making these dumb comments, and then something else came up and I didn't, but I need to do that the next time. You know, if that's just something you want to do, then you can probably go to Vegas where it's legal, and some of those places, and some of those probably are willingly there, and they're making their own money and things like that. Probably still some are not. But anywhere else in this country where you're doing it illegally, they're being trafficked. 100% of them. I mean, I've had numerous conversations with these victims before. Sit down across from them and just talk to them instead of treating them like a criminal. And some of the things that I've found out. One, and I may have told this story before, but I can't remember. I was called out to interview a girl one night that had been picked up on one of these operations. And she just wouldn't talk to anybody. And so they called me and there's like, you think you could, we got this girl here. This is in the middle of the night. And so I said, I'll come try. And so I sat down from her. And do you know the reason she wouldn't talk? Because they were talking to her like she was a criminal. They were talking down to her. Because I go in and I sit down across from her and I start talking to her like a normal human being, and she immediately starts talking to me. And I was like, why weren't you talking to them? Why wouldn't you talk to them? And she said, they're acting like I'm a criminal. They're talking down to me. They're calling me an addict and other things. And that was one of those nights I had one of those heated conversations with some people. But that's why she wouldn't talk to them. Anyway, I sit down across from her. She starts talking to me. And within 5 minutes, we find out one of the reasons she was so scared to talk and scared to death of the people that were over her is because they were holding her 2-year-old child hostage in Memphis and had been for about 2 months. And if she did not make at least $1,000 a day, they were threatening her. They were going to take the child's life. That's what for 2 months, she'd been living in that hell. And anyway, through a few emergency phone pings, sent the U.S. Marshals there, and within about 2 hours, they had the baby in safe custody, and And then they finally stopped treating her like she was a criminal, because she was not. And just from talking to her like she's a normal human being, and just having a little understanding about what exactly is going on. But that's the stuff these people do. That's how evil they are. They held her baby and for 2 months had her out traveling the country. Having to do these horrible things that she wanted no part of, but she didn't have a choice. And it was normal men that were causing this. And I remember specifically the next week or like that next Monday or whenever, when they put the press release out about the operation and the arrest they made. And then I remember reading those comments then, and this was, I don't know, 9 years ago. Maybe not that long ago, maybe 8 years ago. Anyway, and reading the comments and seeing those same comments and just sitting there thinking, you freaking idiots have no idea. You're acting like these men shouldn't even have been arrested. It's because you're ignorant. You don't understand it. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. No, you're exactly right, Ashley. The girl, they've never been protected, and they see their pimps as protection, and that's the only protection they have. And yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, they're slaves, and that's what they are. It's horrible, and goes on in pretty much every city in this country. Child trafficking just became a felony in Georgia. Jesus, I didn't realize that. It's a federal crime though, and that's most of them. Well, unless your agency's like Walker County Sheriff's Office that refuses to work with the feds, you're going to charge them federally because they're going to get a lot more prison time. Yeah, it don't have to be big towns. Yeah, even small towns. No, it doesn't have to be big towns at all. They'll go anywhere where there's a demand. My older stepbrother and his wife were involved, and his acquaintance held one for 3 months. Jesus. My old business partner rescued her out of a staging house. That's horrible. Well, if it's the Homeland Security Task Forces, Ashley, they know what they're doing. Or I hope they do. I mean, the ones I've ever worked with do for sure. But they know how to work the investigations. And I'm going to be doing a podcast on this soon. But Secrets True Crime Podcast put all the information out not long ago. But there was a situation in Walker County, Alabama, where they literally caught a mother trafficking her daughter in a hotel room. And nothing ever happened to her. I need to go ahead and do that podcast soon. Definitely before the election, because people need to know what Nick Smith did with that case. Nothing. Yeah, like Christy said, the case got dismissed. Got dismissed against the two older men that were there, that were paying the mother, because the mother took her young daughter there, and accepted money from these guys for the guys to do what they wanted to with her. That's human trafficking. And didn't do anything to them. The worst case I ever had witness to was a case where a grown man, 40-something, paid for with a 6-month. Oh, Jesus. Ugh. That's horrible. And those are the kind of men, those are the kind of predators that are on roadblocks looking for that stuff. What's your thoughts on the kids detained by ICE in Texas? Well, I have some friends that work for ICE, and pretty much everything you see on the news is just simply made up and not true. Again, if you choose to believe these major networks now, you're on your own. I don't know what else to do. But if it's just not the way. Like the friends I have that work for us are just like me. They're just as passionate as me about the same things. And people are out talking about them like they're scum of the earth and just horrible human beings. No, they're not. They're doing their job. And they're not out taking kids. They're not out arresting kids. And this is crazy stuff. And those detention centers for the illegals that they put the illegals in, the adults, they're nothing like a jail. I've been in some of them. They're freaking not. They have bars, but they're not bad living conditions at all. It's all politics. Yeah, you want to. Another thing gets my blood bold is if you want to get cussed by me, let me hear you compare ICE to the Germans in World War II. Because you talk about an ignorant statement. Completely ignorant. The misinformation going around. And then and some people I highly respect in the podcast world and stuff, even them, I've heard some of them say, but they only have 7 weeks of training. That's not true at all. That's crazy. There is no federal agent in this country that only has 7 weeks of training and then is out on the street. Where they got that from is if you were already a federal agent. So say if you were a FBI agent, DEA agent, name the 3-letter agency. If you were an agent there and then transitioned over to Homeland Security, you just had to go through 7 weeks of additional training to learn the immigration laws. That's what that is. And people and the news puts out like they only have 7 weeks. It's freaking ignorant. Common sense should tell you that's ignorant, but people don't have common sense now. They believe these networks. You remember the Russian hoax that we now know without a doubt, like that was 100% completely fake, made up, false. The Hunter Biden's laptop. These are the same news agencies that people are listening to, and for some reason now they think they're just being honest about ICE. It's ridiculous. There is no child sitting behind bars in a detaining facility with ICE. Not one. Now, do I agree with everything that ICE is doing right now? No, I don't. Are they breaking the law? No. But do I think they should just be going through and pulling every illegal off? No, I don't. But I get why they're doing that, but I don't agree with it. But it's not illegal. It's literally their job. But I mean, it's not a perfect world. I hear people saying they just hire people off the streets. Yeah. Becoming a federal agent is not a simple process. Not even close. And anyone that is one will tell you. And I went through the process twice in my life. Once with the U.S. Marshals and once with the DEA. And there is nothing, actually 3 times I went through it with Secret Service too. The DEA was a 4-year hiring process. 4 years. The most stringent freaking hiring process in the world. And to make it to the end, you're top of the top of everything. And it's a very stringent process for any of those agencies. And if you're curious, I was offered a a conditional offer with Secret Service, and then I ended up turning it down because I was going to have to move to D.C., and I didn't want to leave my son because he was only like 4 years old at the time. The marshals, I was hired. I went through the entire process, hired, and then right when I was given my offer, I got deployed to the Middle East, and then while I was over there, President Barack Obama put them on a hiring freeze, and so they had to pull my offer back. So that's one reason I don't like Barack Obama. But it all worked out. But anyway, I said that to say, I mean, I've been through those processes, and you don't just walk in the door and they say you're hired. Just like, did Candace Owens really say that? It doesn't surprise me. Just like Candace Owens saying the world will never be at peace while Israel exists. Did she really say that? I've said, I mean, she's off her rocker, and I hate that because I used to respect her a lot, but there's something wrong with her, legit. They just seem so unprofessional in the northern states. 2 unalived people. Go do that job for a couple months, and you'll understand. The woman that was in the car, I would have done the exact same thing that officer did. I would have shot her. Probably sooner than he did. That was 100% justified. The man mistakes occurred, but the mistakes occurred because of the entire situation. And completely justified. Let me get that out of the way. Completely justified. And the man kept putting himself in a really bad situation. But when you put your hands on a federal agent, on any law enforcement officer, you're going to jail, whether you want to or not. And I don't care how soft you put your hands on them. But when you're standing in the middle of the road and then you put a hand on a federal agent, no matter what, you're going to jail. When you try to resist that, and amongst all that chaos, that stuff's going to happen sometimes. So in the perfect situation, he wouldn't have lost his life. But you're talking about in the middle of complete chaos. And I'll tell you how well trained they are. I am highly surprised there's not 10 times more the amount of people that they've had to take their life. That shows how trained they are. You can't stand in the middle of the road, and you cannot get in between any police officer and someone they're trying to arrest. If you do, you're going to jail. And if you do, you're risking your life. There's no other way to put that. But because a police officer has their main thing every single day, their main goal every single day is to go home that night. And they should do everything they possibly can to make that happen. They're doing a job that nobody else wants to do. If you have a problem with the way they do it, go do the job. If you don't want to do the job, shut up about it. It's not an easy job. Sometimes it's extremely fun, and sometimes it's not. The whole time I worked in narcotics, I never had one day that was in the middle. And what I mean by that is when I would get home, and a lot of times that wasn't the same day, because I might wake up on a Tuesday morning, get to work on a Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, thinking I'd be going home at 5 and not end up getting back home till the next Tuesday. Very often. Anyway, but when I would lay my head down at night every single day for almost 10 years, there was no in between. It was either I laid there and I thought, I cannot believe they pay me to do this. I lived in a movie today. I got to do the coolest thing that I've ever done in my life that most people will never get to do. It was either that or this is the worst job in the world. I can't take this anymore. And in the morning, I'm going in and I'm turning my stuff in and I'm quitting. That's the conversations I had with myself every single night. That messes with you mentally. Because again, there's no in between. There's no normal day doing that specific kind of work. There's no normal day. And so when I see people that have no idea what they're talking about, critiquing those agents like that, it pisses me off because you have no clue what you're talking about, and you have no clue how hard it is for some of them to go to sleep at night. And if it wasn't for law enforcement, we wouldn't have the country we have, not even close. We have to have them. We have to have them. And the hardest thing, and any law enforcement officer will tell you this, the hardest thing you will ever do in that job is finding out a close friend of yours was just shot and his life was taken working 2 blocks from where you're working, and you have to finish your shift. You don't get to go home and grieve. You have to go answer the next stupid domestic call. That's a bad day. Back the blue unless they're 650 pounds and over 70. I'm still backing the blue. I'm not backing that specific person. Kimberly, you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I'm trying to be respectful about it. I've told you a while ago, you literally have no clue what you're talking about. That's the dumbest comment I've seen in a while. They're not running into private homes without a warrant. Again, give me a break. Jesus. With no target. Like, what do you, and I'm being dead serious. This is a honest question. What do you think you think they're riding around and one of them goes, hey, let's check this house out. And they park and they jump out and run up in that house. Like, is that, I'm being dead serious. Is that what some of you think? I feel so bad for our military that were forced into Iraq. I served in Iraq. I wasn't forced into Iraq. I signed up to fight, and that's what I got to do. And in the military, it doesn't matter to you why you're there. You're there following orders. That's what you have to do. And do I agree that we should have been in Iraq? No, we shouldn't have been. Again, guess who lied? So, but I never want someone to feel bad because I was there. To be completely honest with you, I enjoyed it for the most part. I even miss it at times. But I signed up to fight, and I got to go fight. And I'll never feel bad about that. But no one in the American military since World War II, or since Vietnam, I'm sorry, is forced to go anywhere. No one. You willingly and voluntarily join. But when we were there, we weren't all, while we were gearing up and training to go, we weren't all sitting around going, man, do y'all think we really should be going over here? No, we didn't give a shit, to be honest with you, because it didn't matter. That's what our orders were telling us to do. That's what you do. I was also literally in the middle of Iraq when on Fox News and CNN they announced that all troops had left Iraq. I'll never forget that. We were sitting there watching it on the national news. It was like, And they'll just straight up lie. And they did. It's a straight up lie. Not one person had left in the last like 3 months. And then all of a sudden one day, Obama says, we withdrew all troops from Iraq. Not one thing had changed in at least 3 months, and we're still sitting. I mean, and with no plans to leave anytime soon. We were there for like 4 more months after that. And I remember my poor grandmother. The main way I was able to that I communicated with my family was email, and I remember getting an email from my wife, and she said, your mama called, and she was so excited. She said that you're coming home, and I told her I didn't know what she was talking about, and I said, what? She said, yeah, she saw in the news where they announced they withdrew all the troops from there. And so she legit, the poor lady legit thought I was getting to come home. And it broke her heart when she found out that wasn't true. But yeah, keep on believing the national news and what they say. They're always honest. My son-in-law says not being able to deploy is like practicing for the big game, and then the coach benches you. Yeah, no, I mean, it would have sucked for me to spend the time I spent in the military and never got deployed. I mean, legit, I was, when I found out I was going, I was excited. I mean, I was ecstatic, honestly. A lot of us were. And if I had to go back tomorrow, I'd go back in a split second. You're killing me, Ashley. Christy, do you live in Tuscaloosa County, correct? Is it Jefferson or Tuscaloosa? Yeah. I mean, you have one of the literally one of the most premier law enforcement agencies in this state where you live now, so you're good. The cream of the crop, as they call them. All right, let's I want to talk about this. Oh, I want to tell you all about this quickly, and then we'll move on to what I was going to talk about. And I'll make sure this link is on my FB page. But y'all check this. This is a brand new podcast that's coming out. And you can find it on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And they released this little teaser on it, and it's I'm excited about it. It sounds like it's going to be awesome. But make sure, like I said, I'll make sure this is reposted on my page. So as soon as the live's over tonight, go watch the teaser, because once you watch the teaser, you're definitely going to make sure you watch the full episode when it comes out. But this is a missing persons, Jennifer Powers, out of North Alabama, that went missing July 12th of 2008. And obviously it's a cold case, and her family deserves answers. They deserve some kind of closure. But this podcast, they've done some great investigative journalism, and put a lot of details together, and they've got interviews and everything on this podcast coming out, and it's going to be great. But make sure you check that out. But this is it. Time tells all. And again, I'll make sure that you can find this link to the teaser on my page. Make sure you check it out. I think it's about 2 minutes. Actually, let's play it. I don't know why we're sitting here just talking about it.
My name is Caitlin, and Jennifer
Hold on,
was my mother.
Volume's very low.
It's harder because you want to keep that hope. You always have that hope, like, what if something crazy, I mean, like 1 in a million chance happened and she is still alive, and that hurts so bad, because when the time comes that we actually find her, it's going to be even more, heartbreaking, because I haven't had since 2008 to grieve her. I'm still going to grieve her after we find her body. It's going to just start over. It's just going to start like day one grieving her, because yes, I have, in my heart, I do think something happened to her, and I do think we're just trying to search a body right now.
Yeah.
But until you get that confirmation, you can't start your grieving process at all. It's like you're just in limbo until you get that confirmation, so you can finally start grieving. Yeah, we have a headstone I can go sit at, and I do. But I know there's nothing in there. There's nothing there. So it's just hard, because she's somewhere out there right now, and we can't put her to peace. Like we can't let her rest.
Yeah.
She probably went through things that no one should ever go through. She probably had to go through the worst time of her life, the end of her life. And yet I can't put her to rest because a coward or cowards did something to her.
So there you go. But like I said, it sounds like it's going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. And I know how much work they've put into it. And she don't know it yet, but I'm I'll announce it on here. That way she can't back out. But Monica, who is doing that podcast, she and I are going to be doing some podcasts together as well. She's going to be co-hosting some podcasts with me, and I'm looking forward to that. Getting excited about that as well. But she's a true investigator. She knows what she's doing, knows her stuff. All right, let's get on. Let's see.
I wanted to congratulate a student.
Well, let's find the first video on this. I don't know if anyone's been keeping up with this. It happened in is a school board member out of Washington County, Tennessee, Keith Irvin, and what he says to this student up there with him is, the video is not good, but just need to hear it anyway. But
God, you're hot. You know that? Damn. Where do you go to school at?
I go Crockett.
All right.
I just want to be crystal clear. The motion tonight is just to move forward with the talks, move forward with the information gathering. That way nobody has any misconceived notions that tonight.
God, you're hot. You know that? Damn. Where do you go to school at?
I go Crockett.
All right.
my God, you're hot. Damn. That's a school board member. And hold on, how old is this girl? I can't remember. Let me see. Well, let me find how old she was. Does anyone know? Has anyone kept up with this? I'll find out in just a second. Oh, so she is a student. Okay. And I was thinking she was, but I wasn't 100% sure. So she is a student, a high school student, and he is a school board member. And there's no way to mistake the way he acted. No way. Now, Now, we're going to play his response video, his statement. And this statement is horrible on so many levels. Number one, I'm not sure he made it through the first grade with his reading comprehension. He is struggling to read this statement. I mean, you'll see. And then listen to what his excuse is. And this is not funny, but his excuse is just, his excuse is comical.
I wanted to congratulate a student who did a great job sharing thoughts with all that was in the room. The student made all of us proud during that meeting. She was asking good questions. She was engaged. She handled herself well, especially right before the clip and the conversation with the superintendent on hot topics. She continually fired off questions that thought.
Notice how he's hot topics.
Out valid points. When I mentioned she was hot, I meant she was on a roll. It was nothing to do with her appearance. As a lifetime supporter.
Let's take a poll. How many believe what he is saying right now? Yeah, like his response, and you can, yeah, the people in the audience are laughing because you can't. His statement is it's comical. And the fact that this is a school board member and the man can't even hardly read. I mean, legit, he can't hardly read. That alone, I don't know what this school system's doing there, but Jesus, people, elections are important. School board members are very important. Prime example. What did I just do?
Look, I don't have much real hair. Careful.
No, you gotta.
That gum. I clicked on the wrong thing. Let me bring it back up.
I wanted to congratulate a student who did a great job sharing thoughts with all that was in the room. The student made it all.
Now I don't know what's going on. There we go. Can y'all hear that good enough? I know it's not perfect, but can y'all hear it good enough?
Of us proud during that meeting. She was asking good questions. She was engaged. She handled herself well, especially right before the clip and the conversation with the superintendent on hot topics.
He can't even hardly bring himself to say that part. On hot topics, like, dude.
She continually fired off questions that thought out valid points. When I mentioned she was hot, I meant she was on a roll. It was nothing to do with her appearance. As a lifetime supporter of Davy Crockett High School, I was especially proud to learn that's where she went to school. When you take a couple of seconds out of a 2-hour meeting, it can change how everything sounds. I wanted to congratulate a student who did a great job sharing thoughts with all that was in the room. The student made all of us proud during that meeting. She was asking good questions. She was engaged. She handled herself well, especially right before the clip and the conversation with the superintendent on hot topics. She continually fired off questions that thought out valid points. When I mentioned...
Anyway. You would think this is a Saturday Night Live skit. Again, elections are important, people. We had, remember we had the Charlotte, North Carolina sheriff who literally didn't know what the 3 branches of government was. It still blows my mind. Didn't know which branch of the government he worked for, that he fell under. Elections are important no matter what they are. Local, national, whatever. And then this guy got on the school board somewhere in Washington County, Tennessee. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what part of Tennessee that's in. But again, number one, the man can't barely read. He is the Michael Scott of school boards. Literally everything he did, that is very Michael Scottish, as I say. But it's scary that this guy's on the school board, number one, because he's a freaking predator pervert. Number two, that he can't even freaking read. I mean, and also, we're not talking about the longest statement here. He shouldn't even had to read this from the paper like that. Number one, you read a statement from the paper, like straight from the paper like that, it doesn't mean crap. There's nothing real about that. You're not being sincere in any way whatsoever. But the fact that he couldn't even just state that statement off the top of his head is very concerning. And the fact that he couldn't even read it off the paper is obviously way more concerning. And then obviously the most concerning It's him putting his hands on this high school girl and saying, God, you're hot. Damn. A lot of problems with that. And then this is the best excuse he could come up with. You can't make this stuff up. Like you can't. Just unbelievable. I don't believe anything he is saying anyway, because I can't believe he kept 3 streaks of hair. Oh, that's funny. Somebody wrote that for him. I hope to God they didn't. I hope no other adult wrote that down and thought, yeah, this is a good statement to read. You're probably right, but that's a whole other concern in itself, that another adult looked at that and thought, this, people will buy this. This makes a lot of sense. He's a few fries short of a Happy Meal. Yeah, that's the nicest way to put it. Is he still on the board? I don't know. I haven't really kept up with the story much. I saw the when it happened, I saw that in some clips, and I was like, well, that's a big problem. This guy needs to be gone. And again, that was bad enough. And then when I saw this response, I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. You just, yeah. I want to watch the main one more time, because Ashley just said something that I didn't pay a lot of attention to. ABC World News is saying he is still on the board. Wow. We are going to have to do a full podcast about it if he's still on the board, because that, my God, that needs to be stopped. Like, he's a predator. No real grown man is even going to look at a high school girl like that, much less reach out, put their arm around them, and tell them that, say those things to them. That's sick.
God, you're hot. You know that? Dang. Where'd you go to school at?
Oh, Crockett.
All right.
You're exactly right, Ashley. Wow. I was trying to find her comment so I could tell you. She said something about, and the other ones sitting around didn't even, like, they laughed at it too, and it wasn't a big deal to them. And honestly, I didn't even pay attention to that until then, but she's exactly right. And Isha gets the comment of the day, by the way, about the 3 hairs. Oh, there it is. None of the adults around thought it was off. Like, WTF is wrong with these people? But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean,
God, you're hot. You know that? Dang. Where'd you go to school at?
Oh, Crockett.
All right.
yeah, you're exactly right. What? I mean, look at the way he's looking at her. Tell me he's not a predator? That's a high school girl. And this guy's at least in his 50s. I mean, it wouldn't matter if he was in his 30s, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, I would almost hope it does not make it any better at all, obviously, but I would almost hope he was drunk or something at least. But if that was my daughter sitting up there and that happened, there'd be big problems. Because I wouldn't think it was funny, especially in that moment. But I mean, you look the way he's looking at her. It's Jesus.
God, you're.
I mean, look, he puts his hand on her, which you shouldn't do that. That's a high school kid. Don't put your hand on her at all. But he puts his hand on her. And then he turns her around with his hand and then says what he's saying.
Hot. You know that? Dang. Where'd you go?
She's not comfortable with it. Her body language tells you everything. This is very awkward for her. And she's not comfortable with this at all.
Go to school at?
Oh, Crockett.
All right. God, you're hot. You know that? Dang. Where'd you go to school at?
Oh, Crockett.
All right.
Jesus, man. What in the world is wrong with people? He does have the Homer Simpson hair. All right. We're going to call it a night. I appreciate each and every one of you being on here. Again, make sure you go check out that podcast I was talking about. Go watch that teaser. I would really appreciate it if you go just as soon as you get off the live right now, go over to my FB page and click that and watch that right quick. And then I'll make sure to let everybody know when the full episode comes out on that. And I'm talking about the missing girl Jennifer from North Alabama. That voice you heard, I believe, was her daughter, and so it's sad, and they deserve answers. But again, Monica is doing a great job of investigating that and trying to get them answers. But make sure you check that out and share that to your page, please. And then I will see y'all back Monday night at 8 p.m. in Central Time. And I'm sure we'll be talking more about the ramp. We're going to keep on digging more into that. And I will be back up in Hamilton one day next week, interviewing a few people. So if you live in that community and you were interested in doing a very quick interview, and I'm talking about Walmart parking lot, some public parking lot or restaurant or anything, just a very quick 2-minute, 3-minute interview with me, just telling me your thoughts on the ramp and Karen Wheaton, message me and we'll set up a time and a place. Again, I'd really appreciate that. But that's one reason I'm going to come back up there. I want to talk to some of the locals and get some quick interviews with them. So, again, if you're interested, let me know. And if you have any information on the ramp, please pass that along to me. And we will go from there. But we've got to put a stop to her and that cult. I'm not going to just stand by and let more children get harmed. We've got to do something about that. But I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and appreciate each and every one of you, and I really mean that. Please, if you're not following me or subscribing, please do that, and watch my stuff. And again, my new podcast, full episode, will be released Monday evening, so make sure you go check that out too. Again, very informative, especially if you're a parent. Don't miss it. Oh, Dort. Thank you. Yeah, the DoorDash. Let me show you all that right quick. Give me 1 second. It'll take me just a minute to find it. Oh, that wasn't Wednesday. That was Monday, wasn't it? Or was it Friday? Well, it may have been Friday. It was Friday. Here we go. Oh, that's way too big. I got two different angles. This is the first angle. So obviously the black car here is the DoorDash driver. This is the female in the white back behind the car. And you'll see the male walk up to her. He's already gotten out. Damn. It was the next video. They didn't even do anything in that one. Hold on. Now, this is another angle, and then we'll go back to that other angle on the other video. But if you look over to the left, far left, you see my mailbox kind of right behind this light hidden. So they're going to be, here they are. You see them coming into the screen. So that's the female. And then he's right in front of her. Again, she's a lot bigger than him. And this is, I'm guessing, about the time I looked up and was like, what in the hell? Because it kind of looks like they're hugging or something. Really can't tell. But in a second, you'll see. Yeah, they're on the ground right now. And then when I start yelling at them, they both jump up like nothing's going on. What are you talking about? It's the same one I just played. I'm not doing too well here. Here we go. I promise we're getting there. Here we go. You see the phone flying around everywhere. And they're wrestling around right now, but they're still up. In a minute, you'll see the phone go flying. Like, she just chunks it. There it went. And so she's on top of him right now. I don't know if you can tell that. But because you see me coming in, and that's when they both immediately jump up when I start yelling. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. Fun times there. Never know. All right. We'll try this one more time. But yeah, y'all have a great night and a great weekend. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you all. Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. Before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering